because there's still a turn, and there's still probably 1 or 2 games that they might lose, I think.
Ooh, the suspense Earnshaw has set up there. I'll tell you what, the Arsenal fans are going to be loving looking at the Premier League table because they are top of it, and Tottenham Hotspur are in a relegation scrap. A huge game tonight for them. Who would have thought it? They are just 1 point above the relegation zone after last night's results. They host Crystal Palace later. Let's speak to Spurs fan. Chris, you do realise that if you do go down to the Championship and Arsenal win the league, you're never going to hear the end of this, are you? In your lifetime, in your children's lifetime, in your grandchildren's lifetime?
Well, Rob, good morning to you. I'm not interested about talking about Arsenal winning the title, and I'm certainly not interested about talking about Spurs being relegated. You know, we've got 10 games to go.
This is what we want. Chris, we need some fighting talk. Come on, sell it to us. Sell it to the people watching Fan Club this morning.
Things need to dramatically change at the football club. We should never, ever be in this position. The board and the owners, you know, really need to step up and change the way that they do things. And, you know, Spurs should not be in this position. Of course, it was a very painful night. The results, you know, last night, you know, 4 points from a possible 30 in 2026 for Tottenham. And when you look at the teams around us, they are showing a lot more fight and they are picking up a lot more points. Forest 10. Leeds 11, Wolves 13, West Ham 14, and even tonight's opponents, Crystal Palace, have picked up 9. So, you know, these next 10 games are absolutely crucial for the future of the football club to stay in the Premier League. Igor Tudor, of course, has come in to, you know, change things and be that driving force and, you know, to be that instant impact. And, you know, let's hope that we do see that tonight. But what I would say is that the Spurs fans really do need to get behind, and I'm sure they will. You know, the fans at the stadium tonight, they will get behind the team. And
Chris, just sorry to
today.
interrupt you there, but just on the impact of Igor Tudor, what impact have you seen?
We haven't seen any impact yet. We've seen 2 games. Of course, he's said a number of very negative things about the football club. I don't think that he realised what a huge situation he has walked into. You would think that when he took the job, you would think that he knew what he was getting into. But when he's actually in the football club now, he has just realised what a huge job this is. And, but somehow he needs to turn this around, put some confidence into the players and make them deliver, because this is a huge game tonight.
For years, people blamed Daniel Levy. You can't do that now. But, Johan Langer is the man who brought this guy in, right? Am I right in saying that? Your sporting director, he very much chose Igor Tudor, and he's been in these situations before. He comes in, he disrupts everything, and he normally gets a reaction from his players. That hasn't happened yet. It might do. But do you think down the line you might be looking at a third manager before the end of the season?
I certainly hope not, because I just hope that Igor Tudor can get a tune out of this Tottenham Hotspur team and this squad. Yes, we've had a lot of injuries, but there are a lot of players underperforming. But I'm certainly not here to be slagging off or slating the players today. They need our support this evening. Yeah. But going back to the board and decisions, we have seen so many managers, interim managers, since we moved into the stadium in 2019. We've gone round in circles. We should never, ever be in this position, as I said.
But why shouldn't you? Because you look at the last 2 seasons, and is Spurs in the right position fighting relegation? Because what's to say that they should be anywhere else higher in the league?
The transfer windows, Rob, need to be a lot better. The transfer windows have not been good enough since moving into that stadium. Decisions have been really poor. Sacking Jose Mourinho 6 days before a final, sacking Mauricio Pochettino when he didn't spend in multiple transfer windows in 518 days, took us to a Champions League final. I could go on and on with all of these decisions in recent times at Tottenham. But as I keep saying, Spurs should not be in this position. Major changes at the football club need to be made in the summer. At the moment, we don't know who's going to be the permanent manager. We don't even know whether we're going to be in the Premier League. We don't have a co-sporting director who has just left in January. There are a lot of issues. But I tell you what, these next 10 games are absolutely huge. I hope that we do get over the line. I hope that we do pick up enough points. But as I read those stats out earlier, if Spurs pick up 4 points from the next 10 games, like we have done in the last 10, we will go down.
Just with that as well, is there a realisation now that there's actually bigger things inside the football clubs that is wrong? Because Igor Tudor just mentioned it last week about what is the ambition of the football club in terms of this is a big job, and he probably didn't realise it. Is there a season now where we look at maybe Arsenal win the league and Tottenham go down, and there's no manager at the end of the season to take you forward?
Rob, there were a lot of signs last year. Spurs with 22 league defeats under Ange Postecoglou. And yes, we won the Europa League. That was a great moment for us in May. But, 22 league defeats, finishing 17th. The transfer windows, again, I go back to that, should have been a lot better in the summer. The transfer window in January, I know they come out and said that there were only 33 transfers in the January transfer window. Spurs needed to go all out to try and get some key players in.
I actually disagree with you on that one. I get what you're saying. Absolutely, you want recruitment. But the only thing I disagree with you is I actually think they've got excellent players in the building, and it's more performance and delivery. And Spurs at home are the worst team at home, playing at home in the whole league. I think it's delivery.
Rob, we've got to leave it there, but it's a good final point. One word, Chris, staying up, Tottenham?
Yes.
There we go. Bit of fighting talk at the end. We shall see. Big game tonight against Crystal Palace. The final part of today's fan club coming up.